Hello classmates, here we are. Chapter 13 starts on page 398, and of course you have something to write on and something to write with, and here we go. Turns out that the salesperson is one of the most important people that a company employs, because the salesperson is the one who puts a face on the company, who represents the quality of the product, and who is creating those relationships. So this is a very important chapter, and that's also why our activity this week is all about managing the sales force. As business owners, which you all are, of course, because of our project, you need to analyze what the salespeople need to do, plan ahead accordingly, then implement. And controlling for us all always means that we're checking on whether we are going where we want to go, and if not, then we need to adjust something. That's called control in business. Okay, so this is where the strategy starts, and then you need to actually hire the best salespeople that you can find for the product, right? They need to be trained, properly compensated up. That's where our activity this week comes in. And they need to be supervised. That's where the controlling factor comes in, and of course evaluated. And along the way, the management part really means to keep them motivated. Compensating, page 408. I have a hunch that a lot of you, and myself also, we know about commission sales versus salaries versus per piece. A fixed amount per pay period, what we call a salary. Whereas if there is a variable amount, that could be commissions, bonuses. A combination of all of those is also possible, and you will see that in our activity this week too. What does it mean to motivate our sales force? Well, it means that we want them to move toward the goals that we have strategically picked. Remember the first 2-3 chapters? We need to do the cheerleading for them. We can do that by creating a positive climate, and also by setting quotas that are realistic and maybe even challenging. A challenge is something that is high enough so that we're not quite sure that we can do it, but it is not so high that we don't think that we think it's going to be totally out of the question. And the incentives, and that's where most of us probably think about the money part. Okay, once you study management, then you will find out that that is definitely only one of many incentives we can use. How does the selling process work? Now, please remember, this is about the person-to-person kind of selling, okay? So prospecting means figuring out who to contact, getting names, addresses, etc. One can buy databases. I used to do that when I worked in finance. Okay, qualifying somebody means to decide whether that person is even a valid target. If I am trying to sell $10,000 Rolex watches, I'm making this up, I don't know what they cost, then I definitely need to make sure that the person has that kind of money. That is called qualification. The pre-approach piece is where we need to do our homework. We need to know a lot, as much as we can, about the person, about the client or customer. Then comes the approach, and if there is any chance whatsoever to get an introduction from somebody else to this new person, that's called warm approach. That is so much better than cold calling, if you have you heard that term. Of course, we need to have a presentation and demonstration that tailored for the customer as well as for the product that we're trying to sell. Objections means argument why the customer cannot buy, will not buy, and part of our homework is to have a response to all of them. And that is a real art. Okay. And then comes the closing. The closing basically means asking for the signature on the dotted line or for the money. There are great movies out there too about all that. It's not done once the money is collected because there needs to be follow-up. So how is it going? Does the product work as expected? Are you happy with it? And can you tell me a couple of your friends' names or colleagues' names that I could then approach? Make sense? When it comes to the personal selling, it's really about being able to listen well. And there is something that I like to call the platinum rule. There are some of us who like to be talked to very straightforward, just get her done. There's some of us who like to be talked to by first starting to talk about cats. Or there are some of us who really want to know about the numbers, and there are some of us who want to know about who else is using this stuff. Okay, and all of these, that's called the platinum rule. So if you know the golden rule, do unto others the way you would want them to do unto you. Platinum rule means treat others the way they want to be treated. And couldn't resist this one. What about the promotions? Promotions are a part of the tools that we give our sales force in order to close the deal. So they're usually short term. So if we give a discount on something one time, we don't want to get in the habit of discounting because that really cuts into our revenue and profits. Okay. Therefore, we need to again have a planning. We need to have the strategy in place for the targets, no more than X amount or percentage, whatever it may be. Different types of targets. We have the consumer promotions, then the ones that get our products into Safeway, Trader Joe's, Target, whatever it may be, so we discount for them. Then there might be business promotions, and that means, for example, selling the chairs to Diablo Valley College, right? That's a business-to-business transaction, and maybe we'll get a discount on that. And finally, within the sales force, what can they do? So it could be a little competition, a plaque, or some other acknowledgement there. Now, overall, promotions are short term. That's very important to keep in mind. And we need to do promotions because we have trained our customers to expect them. So classmates, with that, it is an exciting chapter. I promise you will learn so much, and the next time you go to a store or talk to any kind of salesperson, you're going to be amazed how much of the process you can clearly identify what they're doing. Have fun with it. Take care.